First story. I think I'm dying, but my entitled parents don't give it SHT. I, a minor, have been sick for around 7 months. I can barely function. I can't get out of bed to go to school, work, eat, drink water, etc. I genuinely feel as if I am dying, and this isn't some sad sob story looking for pity. I just need somewhere to talk about this, as no one in my life cares. I have bad migraines, splitting headaches, fainting spells, severe chest pains, difficulty breathing, and debilitating abdominal pain. My parents thought I was just faking to get out of school as I didn't look sick. I got multiple comments, and they even got calls from the school concerned for my health. My parents have continuously ignored this. As of around 3 weeks ago, I began throwing up blood. At first, it was just speckled, but it is rapidly progressing to the point that when I throw it up, I can taste it, and it is almost always a deep red color. I told my parents, and of course they didn't believe me, so the next time it happened, I showed them. They reluctantly allowed me to have a few days off school, and that was it. I am slowly getting weaker and throwing up more blood. I am genuinely concerned that I am dying. A little under a year ago, I completely fried my liver and messed up a few of my other organs, and I cannot get the medical attention that I need. Relevant comments. Many comments are telling OP to get their own doctor and/or that their parents have a legal right to look after their well-being. Update 1. I've been reading through comments and have applied for my own Medicare card, and in the meantime, I got in contact with a teacher I am close with. She is getting me a doctor's appointment as soon as possible. I know everyone is telling me to call Zosenzer, as it is abuse and medical neglect. I am 15 and only have a year until I am able to get my Ls, then 2 years until I get my red Ps. My aunt, who lives a state away, and I have decided to make a plan for me to move in with her as soon as I possibly can. I will be on my red Ps just as I finish school. We have planned to move in with her, as she has 2 spare bedrooms, and has been one of my greatest supporters. I am making the decision to stay with my parents for the next few years, as I am slowly building my own support system and family who will love and take care of me. I am also making this decision for my own safety. My parents are aggressive people, but I have learned how to evade their anger as best as possible. I know this is most likely not the smartest way to go about it, but for me, this is the best way. I appreciate all of the love and support that I have gotten. Hopefully, it is all going to be taken care of soon enough. Depending on the outcome of the doctor's appointments and tests, I will update. Thank you all. Update 2. I was taken to the doctor today and have a few tests scheduled for the next week or so. My doctor said that if anything were to change or worsen, I should immediately go to the hospital. I am taking the week off of school and work so that I can focus on helping myself get better. I will try my best to update after the tests. I understand that this is neglect and abuse, but I can't call CPS. I know I physically can, but I struggle a lot with changes in routine and environment. I want to get myself better physically so I can prepare myself to leave this household. Thank you for all of the concern and kind words. A few people think I'm faking and doing this for attention, and I understand why you would think that, and you don't have to believe me or my story, but this is not for attention. I don't want pity or attention. I just wanted a place to get all of this off my chest. Update 3. 5 days from the original. I had a full spectrum blood test this morning, and my doctor put me on some strong antibiotics for the time being. I haven't had any more bloody vomit so far. I still feel horrible, but I hope the antibiotics help. My blood test results should be back sometime in mid-next week. Until then, I am not going to school or work to hopefully give my body time to heal with a little stress. My aunt is attempting to talk my parents into letting me move in with her once I am better. I don't think it will be that difficult to convince them, in all honesty. If they decline, my aunt is going to take them to court for custody, as we have plenty of evidence of medical neglect, physical and mental abuse, and child endangerment. Thank you for all of the support so far. To all of those who don't believe me, I can't make you believe me. But rather than sending me threatening messages, just ignore my posts. Edit. Thank you for all of the messages. I'm not very good at replying, nor am I very active on Reddit, but I am trying to keep everyone as updated as possible. Also, I am not karma farming. I've had this account for a few years and have barely touched it. I don't really understand what karma is in all honesty, but I thought I'd just point that out, as a few people have asked. Update 4. This may be my last update, but I'm not sure. It's been around 2 weeks since I last updated, and a lot of stuff has happened, so this is a long one. On Sunday, July 18, I thought I would be well enough to work, and I am in need of money, especially if I am leaving my parents and town. It was only a 4-hour shift, and my managers knew of the situation with my health and allowed me to have extra breaks. I was doing pretty well until around halfway into my shift, when I started feeling extremely ill. For my safety, I sat on the floor and got myself into a safe enough position in case I did pass out. I asked one of my coworkers who was near to get my manager, as I felt like I was going to pass out. Before they could walk away to get him, I passed out, and according to my coworkers and manager, I was unresponsive for 5 or so minutes. I was rushed to the hospital and had more tests done, got more fluids, etc. My parents refused to even show up to the hospital because they were angry that I had to leave my shift early. I was upset, unwell, and alone. I called up my aunt, who was sobbing after an hour or so, and told her the situation. I just wanted to talk to someone about it, rather than sitting in a hospital room alone, listening to the machines, being poked and prodded constantly, and feeling unsafe due to some past experiences in the hospital. My aunt told me she was on her way, and I felt horrible as she lives over 7 hours away in a different state. She reassured me that she is coming down, and once I get discharged from the hospital, she is taking me back with her, and will deal with any backlash later on. I got discharged 2 or so days later after they ruled it out as just my blood pressure dropping, which my aunt was furious at as she is a nurse, and even knowing my current sickness and symptoms, they said my blood pressure just dropped and there was nothing else. My aunt took me back to my parents to pack all of my stuff. She talked to them while I ran to my room and packed everything I needed. It's been a few days since, and my aunt has taken me to the doctor and explained everything. As far as I know, there has been no backlash from my parents yet. But my aunt is dealing with my family, work, school, medical stuff, and everything else that I've been dealing with on my own because she wants to give me the chance to be a kid, because I never really got that. My aunt is absolutely amazing, and I have told her about all of the wonderful comments people have left for her. I am sobbing writing this. I'm so happy to have my aunt in my life. I may have to stop updating or take down my posts in case there are any legal problems. Thank you for the love and support. Final update. I have debated making another update for a couple days, but I have had a lot of people reach out to me and have decided I would. I recently found out that a lot of you were in fact correct, and the teacher that took me to the doctor is a mandatory reporter, and that helped my aunt get full custody of me. It wasn't very hard for her to get custody, but having that reported prior to leaving my biological parents helped greatly. I am getting a lot healthier. I am still struggling a bit, but a lot better. The doctors started me on some medication, and I have weekly checkups. My aunt has also found me a good therapist, and has found a good school for me to start at once I am healthy enough to. Although I do miss my friends from where I used to live, I am so much happier and healthier here. My aunt is trying her best to make sure I am as happy as I can be. She took some time off work to look after me when I first got up here, and since then she has been spoiling me. Part of me feels as if I don't deserve it. But she always says she's just doing what my parents should have. I am so thankful to have her in my life. Since my aunt gained full custody, a lot of relatives have tried messaging me, but I am thinking of going out of contact with most of them. The only people I am staying in contact with are one of my uncles and my cousin, as they were the only people apart from my aunt who supported me and/or tried to step in with what my parents were doing. No other relatives bothered to care for my well-being, and so I am not going to waste my time on them. I am truly grateful for all of the love and support that I have gained from my friends, and especially the community here on Reddit. So many people have reached out and been so kind during the time I was struggling the most. Please remember you are loved and cared for. If those around you don't make you feel that way, leave them. They will do nothing but break you down. You may feel alone, but I promise, so many people care about you. You just don't know it yet. Second story. My boyfriend broke up with me and wants to reconcile with his ex after seeing her baby bump. It's not even his baby. I'm heartbroken. My boyfriend and I have been together for a bit over a year now. He was married before, and they broke up because my boyfriend wanted children. This was a couple of years ago. Now they have been separated for 2 years and can start the divorce. When I met him, he was honest with me about wanting children. A dream I shared with him. He hadn't seen or talked to his ex since the separation. We were supposed to get engaged once the divorce was finalized, but they both needed to sign the papers, or it could drag. I was worried that she wouldn't sign because, from what I heard from my boyfriend's family, she was crazy about him and didn't want a divorce. Little did I know that it would come from him. I went with him to her lawyer's office, where they would make it final. I wanted to support him. She wasn't what I expected. She wasn't devastated, like my boyfriend's family expected. She looked serene, beautiful, lovely, and totally over my boyfriend. She had her hand on her very pregnant belly. She was pleasant to me, and she basically knew who I was. She cared so little to even act like she didn't know anything about her soon-to-be exes and his new girlfriend. She admitted that she knew about him through mutual friends and that she kept following his news. She was happy that he looked happy. My boyfriend was shocked. She asked how he was. Instead of answering her, he started yelling at her and shaking with anger. He refused to sign the papers and told her he would make her life miserable. She was very distraught, but he told her to stop acting confused. She knew what she did. He left. He even forgot that I was there. He just left. I half apologized, but she said that I didn't need to. She apologized instead. Then her lawyer asked if he could drive her home because he didn't want her driving while shaking. He asked me if I, too, needed a ride. I said that I could take an Uber, but he insisted. The drive was awkward. I found out that her partner was away on business, and they have been together for almost 2 years. When I got home, I was exhausted. My boyfriend did not call, text, or anything. I called as my mom, and she said to give him time because he loved me, and to be patient because he just needed time. But what time? This was Thursday. Today he came with breakfast and said that he needed time. I asked if he was signing the papers, and he said no. Then he didn't want to talk about it, but to trust him that he needed time. In other words, he doesn't want to discuss what happened with me. Edit next day. I got her side of the story. I had a long talk with her, and she was crying all the time and saying how sorry she was about what happened. They had been together since they were 19, and very early on, both agreed that they didn't want children. They are both 40. About 4 or 5 years ago, she fell pregnant. He wanted to keep it, but she didn't. Their relationship deteriorated rapidly after the abortion. According to her, he was very broken afterwards, and she tried everything to make it work. She loved him and didn't want a separation. He ended the marriage anyway because he said that he couldn't stay together anymore. For her, she too had trauma after the abortion. When she fell pregnant with her new boyfriend, she decided that she couldn't do it again and decided to keep the baby, even if the relationship was very new. Her boyfriend seems to be very supportive, but she said that even if he wasn't, she made the choice to keep her baby, even if the father didn't want to be a part of it. So, in other words, her abortion changed her as well as it changed my boyfriend. I believe her. She seemed very genuine. She said that she was happy that he had moved on, and that she thought that I seemed great because she hurt him. And he was always a great husband and partner and deserved someone great and amazing like him. I told her that my boyfriend probably thinks that she wants children, just not with him. She started crying. She said that she wouldn't blame him for thinking that, and that she didn't know how she would make him believe that it wasn't the case. When she had the abortion and was regretful, she couldn't burden him with her trauma and tell him that because she didn't want to add more salt to the wound. That her regret came too little too late. I don't know. I feel for her and for him. I want him to understand that things happen sometimes without it being someone's fault. She didn't reject him as a father for her children. Her experience with her own body is what changed, not her experience with him. Will he understand that and come to me? I love him, and I want him to know that I have chosen him. Comments. Permanently partial. The lawyer sees a lot of people at their worst, and he was worried about both of you, not just his pregnant client. Please care about yourself at least as much as the lawyer, who could easily have let you take the Uber. Bree 9 and E9. This is true. But isn't this also a really good move by her lawyer? I bet they got a lot of insight from that drive to work in his client's favor, even if it's nothing that will be brought up in court. Convivial cat. Wait. He left you. He left you. I just drove away and left you. Then went radio silent for days. And then, you just showed up and said you needed to give him time. Holy crap, girl. Please pick your dignity up off the floor, dust it off, and start using it. He left you. I'm so gobsmacked you didn't just immediately block him on everything. Because he showed you who he is. Believe him. No wonder the woman didn't want to have kids with this guy. He's wacko. And he terrorized her in front of her attorney. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Update. 6 days later. I will make my update short. My boyfriend apologized and ended our relationship. He kissed me and told me that he loved me and that I deserved much better than someone like him. He realized that he wasn't ready to move on and bring in an innocent third party to his mess. He needs time to heal before starting something new. Now he just wants to travel, have one-night stands, and live a single life. He apologized profusely. We met at the wrong time. He also said something that made me start crying uncontrollably. I felt that he would rather raise someone else's child than start a family with me, like we were planning and dreaming. He said he had asked about his ex, her life, and her new boyfriend from mutual friends. They haven't been together for long, so there's a chance that the relationship doesn't work. He would then try to reconnect with her. Yes, that's his plan. I almost threw up listening to his wishful thinking. I told him to leave. He apologized again. He has not called or texted since. Comments. Divorced life. Refusing to get divorced because she's pregnant by another man, and he wants to raise that baby is wild. You dodged a bullet. Even without the pregnancy, he was going to stay obsessed with her. OP. He apologized to her and signed the paperwork. His mom said that he was just in shock, but he did it. Few customer 1317. Did you tell his ex? I feel like this kind of unhinged thinking is something his ex should know about. To protect her and her baby. OP. Yes, I texted her. She called me crying, and she apologized for everything. She doesn't seem alarmed by his wishful thoughts. Third story. OP's brother from another mother isn't being very brotherly, so I 40F have this very good friend, a 37M. They're more like family, really. My long-term partner 45M is aware of the nature of our relationship and is totally okay with it, being supportive of the decision to let her have the couch temporarily. They are also good friends. The couch is often offered to people who need a place to sleep, and the term is seldom longer than 2 weeks. The offer to pitch a tent or set up a camper in our large yard is always there as well. We have just one simple rule. You don't get obviously inebriated drunk or stoned off illegal substances while here, because I do have 2 children living here 95% of the time. We are 420 friendly, but do not drink. Nor do we have a problem with occasional recreational drinking. About 2 weeks ago, A called me very upset. His long-term romantic relationship disintegrated overnight and abruptly, and he needed a place to sleep. Now we're pretty crowded with 4 people in 2 bedrooms, but we offered our very comfy community couch and a rare bedroom when my children were at their father's house. We laid down our one rule: no getting stupidly or obviously inebriated while here, and that I had up to a month free of rent to find someplace to live. Unfortunately, there's a housing crisis going on, and to get an apartment or even a room, you have to constantly apply and have a minimum first month rent plus damage deposit ready to go. Which he was doing and had. Well, A met a girl, and the SHT has hit the fan. Suddenly, he's not looking for a place because A is spending all his time and money on her. The woman is also homeless at this time and living in a shelter temporarily. They've been drinking more and more 5 quarts in 3 days because she drinks. It's gotten extremely awkward because 4 days ago, they tried to have sex loudly on my couch in a tiny, crowded house. I have teenagers who don't need to see or hear uncle drunkenly banging some drunk chick on our couch. I'd set up our huge tent outside for them, which was not a cheap purchase, and even borrowed a camper from a fella we had helped before in case it rained. The tent is now wrecked because they broke a pole, and it ripped right through the side of the tent. The camper is already trashed after just 2 nights. The vomit in there yesterday was alarming, which was why it was locked yesterday. It is my responsibility to clean before returning, which will be returned today because I'm not going to be on the hook for damages or continue to clean that up. Not even for him. But my security cam shows them stumbling around in and out of the locked camper before literally diving onto the tent. Not into. On top of. I'm a bit worried about what I'll be cleaning today. This is on top of being woken up multiple times a night by them stumbling into my house to use the bathroom, falling over, vomiting, etc. And if he pays me for a replacement tent, it will be at least another month before he can save enough for an apartment. I certainly can't afford to replace it. And my family is supposed to go camping next weekend, which has to be cancelled now as we no longer have a working tent. His vehicle is not legal, as he let it lapse because he's too busy drinking and messing with this new woman. So at this point, he's also risking losing his vehicle, making his situation and ours worse. I'm furious. She's been here for 5 days with him. He's been here for 13. That first week was great. Crowded, but no problems. I'm genuinely happy he's found someone, but at the same time, it's extremely frustrating to have my home and family disrespected like this daily for some drunken piece of arse by someone who literally calls themselves my brother from another mother. He's also not working because she's always here. Nor is he looking for an apartment or alternate accommodations. And no, we're not getting any rent or compensation. That's not why we offered the couch. It's just an old, comfy couch that's been well used by people who needed a temporary safe space. I've known this guy for over 20 years. We've always had this sibling-like bond from day one. Never once did we have a problem. Until now. I'm about to lose my SHT on him. I shouldn't have to remind someone, a grown man at that daily, that we don't want drunk people here, and that this is our only rule for a free place to crash. Why? My kids have watched their addicted father struggle with this crap for years. They don't need to see it here either. This is their home and a safe space. Which is why it's literally our only rule. I have reminded him that this isn't going to be a permanent place to stay, especially given the drunkenness. And his time is running out because, again, we can't house him permanently. I worked my arse off and still do because I bought my house over a decade ago to have our own space, and so we would not have to deal with drunks and addicts in our former apartment complex, not to deal with drunken people at my home. My family room is also my office and work area, so being a room down isn't easy either, because you can't be in there with them. I've actually been asked to leave my family room to give them privacy. Once in a while, I won't mind. But I've been basically banned from my own damn workspace for 4 days now. On one hand, I feel like the easy solution is to sit him down and tell him it's time to go. But if I do that, I'm risking losing someone I consider more of a brother than a friend. Especially when he's drinking like this, which isn't normal for him. I'm not his mama and really shouldn't have to say anything. But after 5 days, it's more than enough. And we can't exactly tell him to go while he's drunk either, or boot him out with nothing but an illegal vehicle. We can, but it would kind of go against our own personal rules. No unnecessary harm, no unnecessary drama, no unnecessary anger equals good karma. We're not hippies. We just firmly believe in putting out more positive than negative. I have no problems with him finding himself a woman either. I'm genuinely happy for him not to be alone. I even get along with her quite well when she's sober. But she's a mean and clumsy drunk. He's not mean, but he does get very loud and clumsy. Ugh, out of the literally dozens of times the couch has been used, this has never happened. Every couch surfer has always been respectful of our rules and space until now. So how do I handle this and salvage the friendship? I don't want to come off holier than thou, patronizing, or outright rude. But our boundaries do need to be respected on our own property too. Ugh. Just ugh. Advice welcome. Edit. Kids are not being exposed to anything they haven't been exposed to at very young ages by their addicted father. Also, they are nearly grown, and most of the previous people who helped were actually friends or classmates of theirs. So quit with the guilt trips about what my kids see, please. I'm not a total idiot, just someone who couldn't see the situation for what it really is apparently. Update to the same post. I don't think I've ever seen such unanimous opinions. And you're right. This isn't okay in any way, shape, or form, and I'm enabling him at this point. We all sat down, first the kids 15 and 17, my partner and myself. We talked about what happened. Neither kid noticed anything other than me being in a terrible mood this morning. OPV tends to do that to me. Other people's vomit. The kids trust our decision that we needed to have a serious chat with A, and that it may result in him leaving and likely being angry. Both kids promised to stay out of it and went for ice cream. We sat down with A and said, either the alcohol goes or he does. Starting immediately. I never saw him like that before, like he just lost his best friend, cliché as it sounds. But he understands. He's gone to the back lot for the night to think about what his choice is. I think he's going back there to finish off his whiskey, but I hope I'm wrong. I'll let it go for tonight only. I know what you're thinking, but this is the very last of the last chances. If I find out tomorrow he did go back there to drink, we do have security cameras, because, well, sometimes we need them. He won't be allowed back other than a short visit or BBQ. If he's sober, I don't want to look tonight. I literally can't do more of this today. I never even realized I broke my own rules. Thank you for pointing it out. Sincerely. I don't know how long I would have let it go on otherwise. Ugh. I haven't had such an awful situation in a long time. Relevant comments. OP, you need to take action. 1. Talk to him as soon as he is sober. Ask your girlfriend to leave to have the talk. Tell him how his behavior and lack of respect for your boundaries affect you and your family with all the uncomfortable details of vomiting and SX noises. 2. Stop accommodating them. No leaving the living room. Actually, I would plan family movie or game nights every day. 3. Let him know how much he owes you in damage so far. I would hire a cleaner for the RV and add it to the bill, or ask him to clean it immediately. 4. Give him a move-out date. 5. If drinking doesn't stop, move-out day is the next day. Master of disaster, I'm noti. I am not sure if it saves your friendship, but from what I wrote, he has a drinking problem, so there is no winning here. You are enabling him now. Like many, he may need to hit rock bottom before you have your friend back. OP's reply. I don't think he had a problem prior to this. Not one I knew about anyway. Update. 2 days later. So, I no longer have a brother from another mother. I didn't update yesterday because, to be blunt, I was crushed. I don't have any extended family I can count on. Was it? Other than my partner and kids. When I checked the trail security cam yesterday morning, I saw it drinking all night long on the back lot. Ugly drinking, hitting trees, stumbling, yelling, or crying. I'm glad my cameras don't have audio because it looked brutal. I'd like to say he came to the house sober after he got it out of his system, but I found him passed out in vomit halfway to the back lot. People of Reddit, you're right. I can't help him at this point without compromising my own rules and my family's safety. No unnecessary harm, no unnecessary anger, and no unnecessary drama. When we confronted him about the abuse of our hospitality, things got very ugly. We both said things that we shouldn't have. Or at least I did. I'm not sure if he's in any state to remember, let alone regret, what he said. But I told him this wasn't the brother I knew and loved, and that I didn't want this person in my life. I shouldn't have done that, or at least worded it more carefully. He replied that I never was his sister, that he just felt sorry for me, as I'm just someone who is too stupid to see that nobody else liked them. I was useless and only made people's lives worse. I'm a useless person who uses other people to make herself feel useful. There was more, but I'm not repeating it all. Bad enough, I can't stop thinking about whether he's right. That was the crushing point. I can't do this or put my family through this. Regardless of whether it's the liquor or him talking, you can't take that SHT back. It's inexcusable to say that to someone you know who is prone to severe depression. I went through years of therapy to get those exact thoughts out of my head that were drilled into it by my abusive ex. Basically repeated every nasty thing he ever heard my ex say to me. As it is, it's right there all the time. Having him say it. I have an emergency therapy appointment set up for 3 days, because I can feel those old feelings of death and not existing coming back. I hate that he just undid literal tears of therapy in under 15 minutes. The police took him away yesterday afternoon on a drunken and disorderly charge, as he refused to leave on his own, and we couldn't let him leave in his vehicle when he could barely stand. Tomorrow, his vehicle will be towed. We're done. I'm wondering how much of what he said yesterday was true, and how much the liquor was. I feel like I just lost my best friend, and it hurts so damn bad. My partner just admitted that he feels the same way. He doesn't want A back here ever again due to what was said to me and the effect it had. He's furious that A would dare say that to me, knowing full well what I've been through. There's a lot to unpack here yet, obviously. My kids, who are nearly grown, and yeah, we are all in therapy due to their father being abusive towards me and an addict most of their lives, so don't come at me over that. My family is my priority. I just didn't realize I was no longer part of that family until this all happened. They are taking it very well. Better than I am anyway. They repeated back to me what I've said to them many times. You can only help someone who wants to be helped. They have their usual moments of idiocy. But then, obviously, so do I. As we all do. They're assuring me that it was the liquor talking, but they were too young to remember how bad it was when we left their dad. I hate this. Every piece of it. But you were all right. He wasn't my brother after everything that went down. Friends wouldn't put friends in that situation once, let alone for 5 days. Please forgive me for not saying thanks. While I'm grateful for the eye-opening advice, I can't quite bring myself to really appreciate it for what it is right now. Soon, I hope. Additional update from comments. It's not quite 8 a.m. here. The police dropped off around 10 p.m. to pick up his vehicle, which was to be towed today. With our permission, A was sober and extremely apologetic. We've been talking half the night, and I'm just updating before I head tiredly to work. The problem wasn't just alcohol. The bastard was smoking crystal meth on my property. Purchased and brought here by her. I can't look at him the same way as I did before. I just can't. Not after what he did and said to me. My family supports my decision 100%. A doesn't remember any of it, or so he says. But when my partner told him what was said and done, A got very pale and just got up to go. I stopped him and asked him what that look was for. I've seen it before, and it never ended well. Last time I saw that look, he ran his car off the road in what I suspected was a self-harm attempt, but I never had the courage to ask. But now I realize that I'm not equipped to help him. He needs professional help, not a place to crash and spiral. He seems to genuinely regret everything. He won't be back here though. Likely not ever. He did sleep on the couch last night, but it's the last time, and was only allowed because he was sober. And it was 3 a.m. by the time we all finished talking. He just left for the very last time with a full belly and a heavy heart. I'm going to miss the man he used to be, very much. But I'm oddly okay with this, and I'm actually very glad we got to talk. It feels like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I felt so guilty, I couldn't help him. Now I know for sure that it wasn't a lack of effort on my part. We all agreed, including the kids who were present, they or my partner weren't about to leave him alone with me again. That it's best if we part ways permanently, because I can't look at him without hearing my ex's words out of his mouth. In my effed up head, he and my ex are now one and the same. They both evoke bad or harmful thought patterns that are better left forgotten. He did apologize and said there was no way he could have actually meant what he said because he knew better. But he admitted that it doesn't change the fact that he did say it to me. I'm worried that the next time I hear from him, it will be for a funeral, likely his. But Reddit, you're right. It wouldn't be my doing, nor would it be my fault. He had his chance and literally vomited all over it and our relationship multiple times. The silver lining. My nearly grown kids like me are going to begin volunteering with the local AA and ENA groups so we can learn more about how to better deal with any future situations. Last night was supposed to be our first meeting, but A showed up. I need to understand more about how substances can take over someone's life and make them into someone they never imagined they'd be. I'm trying to turn all this into a positive, and I don't doubt we will get there eventually. But right now, it's still pretty heavy and raw. I miss my brother. But I also understand now that his core problems are far more than I can handle. Onward and upward, I suppose. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.